Was 2026 the year for you to buy or sell your home?
But then you started seeing all the market news. Everything's going wrong. The market's crashing, interest rates, everything just seems to be going bad. Well, today we're going to cover everything as two real estate professionals of what exactly is happening in the market, how do you navigate it, and is there any good news on the horizon?
Yeah, and we're going to get into it right now.
All right, so the big question is, what exactly is happening? We're coming to the end of the first quarter 2026 and a lot of question marks.
A lot of changes
have
happened. We've had a lot of curveballs. And so that's what we want to jump into, right? And so we're two born and raised local Houston residents, but also realtors. And so we're going to give you kind of the professional take, our opinions on it, but obviously we're speaking to local real estate market here. So you'll hear national headlines and news on the real estate market, but honestly, guys, you know, it's really diving into the local specific of what's going on where you're at, because it could be very different than what you see on the national headlines. But I will say, Taco, like as we talk to our counterparts across the country, and we help a lot of people relocate, so we're always talking to agents across the U.S., I'm hearing similar stories.
Yeah, similar stories across the board. You know, because we have so many relocation clients that we're working with, we do kind of get a pulse of what's happening on the East Coast, what's happening on the West.
Right.
And a lot of times, I would say even in those markets, it's probably even worse than what we're experiencing here in Houston.
Yeah, I mean, some are dealing with more, you know, inventory issues where there's lack thereof, and you're still seeing multiple offer situations, even with these high interest rates, while others, you know, are kind of like us, more in a buyer's market. And so we'll dive into the Houston specifics now, just so that you have an idea of where we're sitting, of what's actually happening here in the end of Q1 of 2026. So, all right, what's happening with inventory right now? I mean, I'm kind of feeling like the numbers say it, but I'm feeling it as well. It's increasing.
Yeah, we have about 5 months worth of inventory.
So, Taco, what does that mean?
So 5 months of inventory. So if we were to absolutely stop selling across the board, it would take us actually 5 months to be able to go through all of our inventory. So when you get about 5 to 6 months, that's a true definition of just a buyer's market.
Yeah, and that's really how we define markets, is the amount of months on inventory. So like you said, if there's no active listings that come up, it would take us about 5 months to sell through it. And that says a lot for buyers right now, and we'll get into that.
Right, to where when we were in COVID, I mean, you had, what was the number? Probably
it was less than a month.
Yeah, less than a month, which
it was
means
crazy.
Yeah, which means you're getting multiple offers.
We couldn't keep up with the inventory before, like when a home was listed, and that was honestly, that's why we're in the predicament we're in right now. That's why rates are higher. That's why we're in this crash or corrective market. Is all the aftermath of what happened in COVID. So, okay, we've got more inventory year over year. It's probably about 15% up. I'm feeling that, like anecdotally, like I feel that. I see a lot more listings, both new construction and resale.
Correct.
And so that translates to homes sitting longer out here, right?
So we're at a average, I think, right now in the Houston market, about 70 days?
Yeah, 60 to 70 days on average. There's a lot of determining factors there, but I'm feeling it. I've got a couple of listings that I'm working very hard, marketing very hard. They're nice homes, but they're sitting. And so that kind of goes into what negotiating power buyers are having right now in certain areas of the Houston market. With that said, everything's conditional. So we still have interesting pockets out here, right?
Absolutely. So like
where
the
we're
Woodlands.
seeing the Woodlands, anywhere where there's really a lack of inventory and it's destinational, like the location is good, and then you price that home right and it's turnkey ready, we're still seeing multiple offers situations in this market left and right. But it is very determinant of these important factors, I would say.
No, absolutely. And then, but like you said, you have houses sitting, but I would say kind of a key takeaway would be like with houses sitting, we have 5 months of inventory. Like, would you use that as an indicator that the market's crashing?
No, I would say really what indicates a market is crashing is when home values are crashing. And so what we've seen in the Houston market as a whole is literally like sitting flat, maybe 1%. You might have some areas that are more like 3 to 6% down in terms of the price point of the home, and then other areas like we're talking about with these, pockets that are high in demand, where it's still going up. And so it kind of levels out where we're seeing homes just sort of sit flat. And so what that means is, or what it translates to is, there's not a crash, it's more of a correction or a shift that we've experienced since this post-COVID market.
Yeah, because COVID, I mean, it just hiked everything up. So now it's kind of just settling. But I mean,
and it's been more or less the same the last 2.5, 3, really since the peak in 2022 when rates started to go up and it caused everything to slow down. So let's we'll kind of jump into, now that you kind of understand what's going on locally in our market, let's talk about some of the factors that have changed the market as of late in this Q1.
And they're big.
All right, so let's talk about this big curveball we got this quarter.
A huge one.
Yeah, so we were kind of starting out the year, obviously kind of slow. So, in real estate, things kind of get really busy in the summer. Everybody's trying to move before, when the kids are out of school and before they land into the next school year. And so January, February, things kind of start to slowly happen. That was normal, but we were experiencing all-time lows in our interest rates.
Yeah, which was gearing us up to
a good
on
year.
Our side, we were getting excited. Rates were dropping, like you said, all-time lows.
Change in tempo. Things were picking up. Things were positive. The economy was heading in the right direction.
Yeah, our phones were ringing more, right? Hey, I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready.
These people that have been sitting and waiting for a while.
Yeah, I mean, we were seeing kind of end of February, end of February, we were seeing rates as low as, government loans as low as 5.5, which is a huge deal because we'd been in the 6s, the 7s.
Prospectively, the last 2.5 years in this, corrective market. We've been battling rates between 6.5% and 7.5%, give or take, up and down, and we just haven't had a real change in that until this year. We were below 6%, even with a conventional loan. And so that was a game changer, and it really did stir some action. Conversations were being had, more listings were coming, and then
we entered March. We all went to sleep going into a weekend.
I don't remember exactly when the war started.
I don't know exactly what happened, but we had the situation in Iran that happened.
Yeah.
And it changed, I don't want to say overnight, but it did change the market over a course of a couple of days. And I'm saying maybe the weekend, I don't know the exact date, but what I know happened, speaking to lenders, we have a lot of lenders that we work with, there was somebody that was about to get locked in on a Thursday or Friday at a 5.6, 5.7. They waited, they're like, we're gonna wait till Monday and Tuesday, talked about it. This Iran situation happened. Rates went all the way to 6.25 when they were like 4 days later. You had the weekend, so really 2 or 3 business days later, they sat and then they waited, and now they were up.
Yeah,
like a half a point, almost 3/4 of a point.
So we're realtors experiencing this in real time, and we both had clients that really were caught in the middle of it.
Right.
So I landed a contract with a buyer. I think he was sitting around 6.25, like you said. And then lo and behold, we got a call that Friday at the end of the option period with our lender recommending we lock at 6.7. So he was freaking out, not feeling too good about it. I think his payment went up, obviously, from that. And so what's going on? Like, what's causing this, right? Because it's not tied to any actual economic things happening, right? The rates, the Fed rate, all that nothing has changed. In fact, we have a new Fed chair coming in May to replace good old Jerome Powell, who's kind of honestly the cause of all of this mess. And so we, again, on the horizon of everything coming in, we were excited. Rates were at all-time, lows for the last 3 years, and then this Iran war broke out, and so everything is due to uncertainty, right? So this this is affecting it globally, right? And so you're probably noticing, if you're watching this video, now-ish, right? When we posted, you're probably noticing the gas pump is more expensive. Everything's just inherently kind of going up. And that's all tied to the Strait of Hormuz, which is this very important waterway where 20% of the world's oil production flows in and out of this. And so we have this terrorist regime that's always held it hostage. And now, this war has just blocked it. And so that's causing uncertainty. Wall Street doesn't like it. Rates have gone up, and then buyers too, right? Let's talk about what this is doing to buyer behavior as a result.
All right, well, so with all this news going on, right, what does this mean for buyer and seller behavior? So on the buy side, people are hesitant. Those that were waiting for interest rates to drop we're watching rates drop, and then they're like, we're gonna wait even more, and now they're back up, and now they're even more confused than ever because they're like, well, when is it a good deal? It's like this game of I don't know if you ever did play jump rope, right? What are the
Yeah, you're trying to
like
time
trying
it,
to like,
right?
when do I get in? When do I not? Do I get in? Do I not? And then as soon as you think you're gonna do it, then you hesitate, and it's this kind of this weird game of you don't know what to do.
And hindsight's 2020, right?
Yeah, always. And I know sometimes on our end, and we experience this probably on the buy side, it's like, oh, y'all are realtors. Of course y'all want us to buy now. But we go based off of historical data is what I do a lot of the times. It's like,
you can never predict the market.
Correct.
Especially when you have Trump as president. I mean, there's so much uncertainty.
Yeah.
And it just, due to that uncertainty, it dramatically changes the market. Like I said, whether there's really anything tangibly happening in the economy, it's this uncertainty. Wall Street doesn't like it. It causes this whole spiral. And that leads into behavior of buyers just being uncertain, being uneasy.
Yeah, it's just like this big ellipse, like just the dot. They don't know what to do.
Yeah.
That's on the buy side. Sell side, what would you say?
Sell side, I would say sellers are trying to hold on to every bit of equity that they can, meaning they list high. So it's almost like the running kind of spiel or joke I give is sellers think it's 2021, COVID, right? They're listing super highs if they're going to get it. And buyers think it's 2007. Like they think the market is crashing, and so they're lowballing. And so we're kind of like seeing a stagnant market because of it, where it's tough for the seller and the buyer to come to an agreement when both are unrealistic with those expectations. So it's really key to have a pulse on the market and have correct expectations. And that's kind of what we walk our clients through. So Taco, what's the playbook, man? Like, how can you win in this market?
I would say there's a number of ways to win. Here, specifically in the Houston market, and I would say the Texas market as a whole, multiple ways. I would say the easiest way to get a deal, and I say deal because a deal is defined on whatever you want to feel like you're getting a deal on. Some people it's interest rates, some people it's price, some people it's closing costs.
Some people, it's a little bit of everything.
And if it's a little bit of everything or any of those, I would say the best kind of guarantee that you'll probably get a deal is new construction.
That's where the best deals, I would say.
Yeah. So I personally know builders that are offering $499 with still wiggle room on the price, and the price of the homes have been reduced already.
And Taco, we got a little bit of insight here. Maybe what is that costing a builder to do that?
So there's a builder, David Weekley, one of my favorite builders here, and they specifically did, with the rates being in the sixes now, high sixes, they're buying rates in bulk. So to be able to get that rate to $499 per person, it's costing them about $50,000.
Yeah, think of it as a pie. They go out and they buy this bulk loan, and then they divvy it out to every buyer until they run out. So like anything, when you buy in bulk, you can get a discount, but they're still having to utilize that margin in their sales cost to $50,000 to get you down below 5%. So that's something sellers on the resale side can't compete with, obviously, right? And so in order to win in this market, really, I say the best deal is new construction.
Absolutely.
I say the best bang for your buck is resale, and because that's typically you can inherit a pool, nice upgrades, maybe that oversized lot
at a fraction of the cost.
You're gonna pay less per square foot, but you're dealing with a seller who doesn't have as deep of pockets. Maybe they're listed high. Who knows what their equity position in? And so if you're dealing directly with a seller, it's a lot more emotional. It's not much business. You might have to settle somewhere in the middle that works for all parties.
And another thing that we've seen on the resale side, with it being a buyer's market here in Houston, is you're going to get, again, a deal. A deal's going to be defined on what you want, right? And so on the resale side, we are seeing kind of this trend of more buyers getting concessions, more buyers getting, and with that concession, you can use it towards closing costs. You can use it towards buying down your rate. That's kind of what you get in this weird market that we're in with having so much inventory. Nobody lists their house to be able to sell it in 90 days, 60 days, 70 days. right? So they kind of get to this, and a lot of times those sellers have another move that they have to make. So yes, hey, we'll give you $5,000 in concessions, 2% of the cost in concessions for us to be able to move on and continue going on with life. And that's something we've seen just common going on in this market.
But I think for sellers or even the resale market, it takes a good equity play. So people can be upside down if they haven't owned their home. Since we've been in a relatively flat market and you have closing costs associated with selling or buying, you are upside down or depending on your equity stake, not in a good position to sell. And so it's for sellers, it's timing it right. It's having the right expectations. It's having the right equity so that you can list your home at the right price so it'll actually sell. Because, at the flip of the coin, they have these low interest rates that they're probably holding from the COVID era, and they got to go out and buy with these higher rates. But maybe they can capitalize at getting a good deal on the other side, because we're in that buyer's market. Right?
But there is a play no matter what, there is a play, and that's kind of what this weird market has allowed. It's not like we've touched on, it's not COVID, it's not a seller's market to where the buyer is kind of just having to overpay. Yeah, you're getting lower interest rates, but you're having to overpay and you're getting into bidding wars. Yeah.
So, all right, where do you see the rest of the year going? What's your take on it, Taco? And then we'll wrap this up.
Man, it was. I think it's going to be still of a roller coaster. I think people are tired of waiting, though. We have a good consensus just around people nationally with working with so many reloads, and so I think people are just tired of waiting. And they're starting to realize, like, listen, you're not going to be able to time it perfectly. If it works for you, if you can afford it now, you can kind of work, because there's always going to be what ifs. You can always play the Monday morning quarterback. Oh man, if I'd have done this, this, or this. There's always going to be that, no matter what. Even during COVID, when people are getting deals. So it's.
Well, and during COVID, as a buyer, you got a low interest rate, but you traded in. You weren't having option periods or inspections. You were overpaying and covering the difference. So there were cons to that market as well. And so to your point, like when you're ready as a buyer or you're ready as a seller, I think as long as you have the right strategy, you price it right, and you go in with the right expectations, we can negotiate and get good deals to happen that make sense for all parties, no matter what the market is. And so we're just kind of utilizing the tools and resources we have, whether that be new construction with rates bought down, or finding you that really good deal for a motivated seller. The play is there. It's just about navigating this market very strategically and negotiating the right deals that work for you as a buyer. So my take on it, I think it all depends on this Iran war. We're kind of hinging on that, but if it ends as quickly as Trump is saying it does, and we get the negotiation or whatever, I think things will snap. Because the rates just went up really quick over nothing.
Like I said, over a weekend.
So once that uncertainty is gone, I think all of that will vanish into thin air, and we'll go right back to where we were, just below 6%. We got a new Fed chair coming who's going to flip monetary policy upside down and completely change the model, and his goal is to lower rates. And if all that happens, and this happens before going into peak season, maybe sometime late spring, I think we're still in for a good year. So the jury's out. I think for me, it's all hinging on this war, on whether we have a good year or another year that we've been kind of, leaning or having the last few years. Nothing changing.
Even with everything though, and just the kind of overall consumer consensus is what we're feeling is I think people are, like I said, tired of waiting.
They're ready.
And people are ready. And so I think overall, to your point, no matter what happens in Iran, I think it's still going to be an overall better year than I think most people were anticipating.
So if that sounds like you guys, if you're thinking about moving out to the Houston area, we would love to talk with you. So there's a link below in the comments. You can click that, fill it out, or also give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. We'd love to connect, see if Houston's a good fit. Hopefully this was some valuable content for you. My name's Mark Archer. We got
Taco Rodriguez.
And we'll see you guys on the next video.
See ya.
Later.